going to present the most important topic of history, that is French Revolution. Before starting this chapter, I want to tell you about some interesting facts about France. Firstly, the official name of France is the French Republic. It is located in the continent of Europe. France, one of the greatest power in the world, has right to veto. The capital city of France is Paris, which is called the City of Light. It has also the democratic parliamentary. And the story of the French Revolution starts from this. On 14th of July 1789, the city of Paris was in state of alarm. The king had commanded the troops to move into the city, and rumors spread all over the city that the king had ordered the army to fire upon citizens. Some 7,000 men and women gathered in front of town hall and decided to form the People's Militia. Finally, a larger section of the society marched towards the eastern part of the city and stormed the fortress's prison called Bastille, where they hoped to find the hoarded weapons. The fortresses was demolished and the largest fragments of the stones were sold into the market who wished to keep as sovereign of this event. And the chain of these events ultimately led to the execution of the King of France. And the question arises, how and why did this happen? Now I would like to invite Purvi to continue this chapter.
My topic is the French Revolution. On the morning of 14 July 1789, the city of Persia was in the city of alarm. Some 7,000 men and women gathered together in the front of town hall and decided to form People's Militia. Then Louis XVI, who was the king of France, ascended the throne in 1774. Louis XVI belongs to a Bourbon family and he was 20 years old when he married the Princess of Austria, whose name is Marie Antoinette. Louis XVI helped 13 independent colonies to gain their independence from their common enemy Britain. And during the 18th century, the French society was divided into three estates: the nobility, the clergy and the third estates. Nobilities were those who have the highest position in the church, and the clergy were the ruling classes, and the third estate includes businessmen, merchants, etc. In France, 60% of the land was owned by the nobles. Moving to the next topic, my next topic is the struggle to survive. The population of France rose from 23 million in 1715 to 28 million in 1789. This led to a rapid increase in the food. So the prices of bread, which was their staple food, increased, and this led to subsistence crisis. Now I would like to call Janmeet to tell you about this chapter.
According to Old Ring, France did not allow any king to pass proposal according to their own will. So, Louis XVI in 5 May 1798 called Estates General to form proposal for new taxes. Then the third estates were demanding that now the voting should be conducted according to the assembly as a whole. For this, the king rejected this appeal. So third estate walked out of the assembly in protest. And then through all these things, the Constitution of France became. 1791, the Constitution of France drafted. And through this Constitution, its main objective is to make limits on the powers of kings, and powers are divided into legislative, executive and judiciary. And the Constitution of 1791 was given right only to richer section of the society, not to other sections of the society. And so they thought that the revolution could be carried forward. For this to decide government policies, programs, political clubs were made, and the Jacobean clubs was the successful and most influences club from all these political clubs. And in 21st of September 1792, the monarchical constitution was abolished and France drafted a republic. Then I would like to call Asma to introduce this topic in detail.
My topic is the Reign of Terror. The period from 1793 to 1794 is referred to as the Reign of Terror. Maximilian Robespierre followed the policy of severe control and punishment. all those whom, if he saw anyone as the enemy of the republic, even the members of his own party, were arrested, imprisoned, and tried by the revolutionary tribunal. If the court convicted them guilty, then they were guillotine. Guillotine is a device consisting of two poles and a blade with which the person is beheaded. It was named after Dr. Guillotine, who invented it. Robespierre's government issued laws placing maximum wages on prices. The meat and bread were rationed. Peasants were forced to transport their grain to cities and sell it at the prices fixed by the government. Pursued his policies so relentlessly, so his supporters want moderation. Finally, in July 1794, he was convicted by the court, and on the next day he was guillotined. And after the guillotinization of Maximilien Robespierre, a dictatorship rules France. After the fall of Jacobin Club, allowed the wealthier middle class people to seize their power. Then a new constitution was introduced which denied adult suffrage to non-propertied sections of society. It provided them with 2 elected legislative councils. An executive is made up of 5 members, and there is always a clash between the directory and legislative councils, and they sought to remove it. The political instability between directory and elected councils gave rise to a military dictator named Napoleon Bonaparte. And my second topic is that did women have a revolution? From the beginning of French Revolution, women actively participated in the events that took important changes in the society. They hoped that their involvement in the revolution would pressurize the government to introduce new laws that improve their living conditions. Many women of the third estate work for their livelihood. Some work as a seamstresses, and some work as a laundresses. Some sold fruits and vegetables at the market. Only the daughters of noble and the wealthy members of the third section of the third estate have could study at the convent. To discuss and voice their interest, women started their own political clubs and newspapers. The Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women was the most famous among them. Their main demand is to enjoy adult suffrage. They were disappointed by the Constitution of 1791 because it considered them as passive citizens. And their second main demand is that schooling is made compulsory for girls, and their fathers could no longer force them into marriage against their will. Divorce was made illegal, and everyone can apply for divorce, even he is a man or she is a woman. And their third main demand is that women were trained in some small jobs, and they have the right to run small businesses. Finally, in 1946, women got the right to vote in France. Now I want to call Prakriti to continue this talk.
My first topic is abolition of slavery. One of the most revolutionary social reforms of the Jacobean regime was abolition of slavery in French colonies. The colonies in Caribbean were Martinique, Guadeloupe and Saint Domingo, which were the important suppliers of commodities such as tobacco, sugar, coffee, indigo. Then a problem was arise. The problem was shortage of laborers on the plantations. This was met by a triangular slave trade between Africa, America and Europe. The slave trade began in the 17th century. French merchants sailed from the ports like Bordeaux or Nantes to the African coast, where they bought slaves from the local chieftains. Then the slaves were packed tightly into the ships for the 3-month-long journey across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, where they were sold to the plantation owners. In 1794, the convention legislated to free all slaves, but it turned out to be a short period of time because 10 years later Napoleon reintroduced slavery in France. But finally in 1884 slavery was completely abolished in France. So my second topic is revolution and everyday life. The years following 1789 in France saw many changes in the lives of men, women and citizens. One of the most important laws that came into effect soon after the storming of Bastille in the summer of 1789 were abolishing of censorship in the old regime. Now a question arises, what is old regime? Old regime is a term used to describe institutions and society of France before 1789. In the old regime, all the writing materials and cultural activities such as plays, books, newspapers, etc. could be published or performed only when they have been approved by the censors of the king. But now the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizens proclaimed that freedom of speech and expression could be a natural right. Now I would like to call Ria to give you the conclusion of our topic.
The French Revolution is not even the chapter. It acts like a torch which reflects the colors of liberty, equality and justice. Thank you so much.
Hold up.